types of human design. Which one are you? Hey there, I'm Esther Rapport, your host of the Life Picks University podcast, and I help people become more efficient and effective. And today we are discussing how human design affects your productivity. Woo, I am super excited for today's guest. But first, if there is anything in this episode that you'd like, don't forget to share it with someone who else will enjoy it so they will benefit from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of $1 million by the end of 2025. Today, we have the founder of Remotely Balanced, someone who uses human design, readings, and coaching to help people get balance, ease, and alignment in all areas of your work. Thank you so much, Kristen, for being here. I'm excited to be speaking with you. You want to start by telling us something that you did as a kid that your parents still laugh about today?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for having me. That is a very good question to start off with. Let's see. I think that they would laugh at me most for remembering my Spice Girl dances that I would always make them watch and perform as if I was a budding star, which I think I still am. I mean, I still know the moves. I feel like I would still be very great as a 30-year-old dance choreographer star background dancer.
Do you still want to be?
I mean, why not? You know, I'm still young. It could change. It could easily change. You never know. So that's the one thing that they would probably bring up and be like, yeah, you were meant to be in some capacity in front of a camera because you would not stop with the Britney Spears, the Spice Girls, all the dancing and the routines. And it was very intricate. I'm actually a little bit impressed that I actually put together like eight counts behind these.
Oh, the real deal.
That's when the productivity probably really hit. It's like I didn't even know it. It was already happening.
Oh God. Okay. Well, so today you are doing human design. You want to start by telling us what actually is human design and how we could figure our own human design out.
Absolutely. So human design is essentially the blueprint of our soul, which sounds so deep and so juicy. We love it. But it also sounds really not overwhelming, but it sounds just like very like there's something else there that personality tests don't give you. So what I essentially say it also is like your toolkit to your energy and how you interact with your own alignment, your own flow, how you interact with yourself, but also to others. It's a really great tool to decondition yourself from what you have been brought up to think in society of how you should be doing things. And it's a map for you to live in alignment with your true, authentic self. So that sounds really deep, and it
how do we it's based on like your birthday and your hour where you're born and things like that, but how do we actually figure it out?
Yes, so get your birth dates, text your mom, text your dad, figure out those birth dates, and then you're going to go to, you can type in human design body graph. Body graph is what is essentially the chart that we look at. We call it a body graph, and it looks very interesting, but do not worry. Do not worry. We can easily break it all down. But what you're going to do is that you're going to go to one of those sites. One of them is called Free Body Graph. You can also go to Jovian Archive. You can go to Genetic Matrix. All these sites you'll see. Once you hear it and you see it on Google, you're like, yep, that's it. You're going to input your birth details, and then up pops your chart, which explains so much. There's so much juiciness in it. We have all your centers, which there are 9 centers from head, ajna, throat, all of those guys. We're combining elements of astrology into it. We're talking about channels of energy, things that we're experiencing in our life that our gifts and our talents are going to contribute to the greater whole. We're talking about some shadows that we might experience, in that shadows are gifts sometimes, things that we got to work through, things we got to decondition ourselves with, things that we have to come to truths with and heal in order to really live with these gifts every day, be able to get access to them and really put them into our day to day. So that's pretty much where you're going to start looking at. You're going to see but it's going to look really bonkers when you look at it for yourself. So it's so important to do research. We have so many wonderful people besides myself that do readings and study human design for their passion and their purpose. So you can easily Google Erin Claire Jones, you can Google Jenna Zoe, all these wonderful ladies, including myself, who really go in depth and explain simply on our social accounts what you're looking at, what each portion of the graph is. And it can get super detailed, or we can stay really light and easy. We always start out with what your type is, what your strategy and your authority, because those are the three things that really help beginners to human design really digest it for a second.
Okay, so let's go through those a little bit, because I know the diagram is super complex. And like when you see it, you're like, oh my God, what are these shapes and what are these colors and things? And it means different for everyone. So let's go through the three basics. And if somebody just finds, does Google like a body graph and puts in their information, they should like come out with something until they could go and get to someone, a human design reader.
Yes. So what we first look at is what your type is. And what your type is pretty much like your sun sign. So if you're in astrology, we first come off of I'm a Virgo, but we know that there's layers to that, right? I have a whole natal chart. We got houses, we got planets, we've got the moon, we got the ascendant. Think of human design in that way. So your type or your ascendant would be your type. That's how your aura essentially describes your aura and how people see and first interact with you, the energy that you give off. So there's a few types. We have manifestors, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. All of them come with their own different set of skills, what they're generally like, how they utilize their energy, all those fun things that really can break down into productivity, which we'll talk about obviously in a little bit. But what we also look at is your strategy and authority, because there's different ways that we have authority, in AKA our intuition, and the way we respond and interact with the world. So those three things together
kind of. So what are the types of strategies? Like what's the options for that?
There's quite a few. So hopefully I can remember that all of them at the top of my head. So we have a Lunar Authority, which is what I have. So I have to wait 30 days to make big major decisions, because as a reflector, I'm a pretty rare type. It's about 1% of the world. So all my centers are open. So I'm constantly absorbing everyone's energy. So that's why it takes me so long to make big decisions, because I have to make sure I'm making it from a place of me, you know? Yeah. So we have to respond, we have initiate, and we have to inform. And there's a couple other that honestly I can't remember the top of my head.
No worries.
But
now when we put in these signs, like I know there's like shapes and stuff. When you do your chart, will you also get like, will it come out with also what your type is, or you actually have to go to a reader in order to get even that?
No, your body graph will show you your graph, but it will also have your type, strategy, authority in there. And it'll also have like your themes. So the themes that come up when you're feeling at your best and most aligned, which could be feeling satisfied, and to your not self theme, which could be bitter. So you can recognize if you're using your strategy and authority, like what feels good, intuition, and how you respond, how you interact, what that feels like when you're living in that kind of alignment. So that's why it's so important to really grab those first three if you're getting into human design and diving deep into that first. So you can really truly, it's a feeling, it's the energetic flow. So
yeah. Now what types of authorities could there be?
There could be a self-authority. There could be a sacral authority, which is really popular. The sacral is the generator of life force, right? So that's what we feel when we are really passionate about something, and we can keep going and working on it, and we feel so excited and happy to do so. So they're mostly based off of centers. There could be environmental authority as well. Just depends on that birth time.
Yeah, is like literally depends on like how does it work, by the minute, by the day? Like what does the calculation actually, right? Like in zodiac signs, we know like based on the days of the months that you're born in, right? So
Mhm.
how does this work here with human design?
So it's human design. Your design date is usually 3 months after you were conceived. And when you know that you can carry and you can start telling everybody that you're pregnant, right? So that's your design date. That's when all these wonderful gifts and everything start downloading. So that's kind of like your body, your vessel. And then when you come into the world, that is where the personality set is. So we have conscious and unconscious, two sets that are run alongside the body graph that you'll see that have numbers in it. So that's based off of like your sun, moon, north node, south node, astrology signs, but your gifts and shadows are in there as well as line profiles, which we won't get into for sake of simplicity. But
Right.
so the unconscious is 3 months after you're conceived, and then your conscious is like your personality, what you authentically bring to the world, and what starts becoming conditioned to you. So that's what happens afterwards. So it's two sets of data, your body, your mind together. So conscious,
Together.
unconscious.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. And like it doesn't change ever because your date, the minute that you were born never changes. So like
Exactly. Like that's finite information. You cannot really, you can't say yes or no on a question and comes up with a different personality type. That, yeah.
yeah.
Essentially.
Okay. So I want to go a little bit into the 5 types and how they like play out in the world, as in like how it affects the way they run their daily lives and their productivity and their relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can get started with our manifesting generators. I love them. They're so unique. They're the second rarest type after reflectors. They are meant to juggle multiple things at once. They are productive multitaskers. They like to do more than one thing. So they do not thrive necessarily in a 9 to 5 because they're meant to move about, go and do one thing for a really long time, or drop it when they don't feel like doing it and pick up something else. That's how they view their passions and the types of things that they do day to day. So freedom and flexibility is so essential for them. If they start feeling like they're confined, doesn't feel good, doesn't feel in alignment. They want to be able to draw, but they want to be able to run a side hustle business and open another one. Like whatever their heart fancies that they want to explore, they got to do it. Because if they don't, no bueno. Doesn't feel good. Not good for them, not good for anybody.
Do they like end up not finishing so many tasks because they're so busy, or that doesn't affect their work?
It doesn't affect their work because if they're excited and passionate about it, they're going to see it to completion. So it's more so of giving them the freedom of being able to do multiple things at once instead of telling them, hey, you have to niche down. You have to just work on this for these few hours. No, they work best when they have their own flexibility in place in order for them to pursue what they feel most drawn to at the moment.
Yeah.
Going from each. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that could look like one day they're working on something, another day they're working on something else. Like could be project based in the workplace. It could look very different, but they're just meant to do multiple. They want doing multiple things.
Do they like get bored really quickly from doing something for so long, or not especially? Because like I said, it depends on the task.
Yeah, I think that depends on the task, but I would assume I would be bored just doing one thing. If I was a manifesting generator, I'd be like, yeah, I need to find what else to do because this one thing is not going to satisfy me.
Gosh. Okay. So that's our manifesting generators.
Yes.
What do we have next?
Manifestors, who are big, bold, wonderful personalities. They're meant to be like the trailblazers. So these are the people that have like their stances, like you know exactly what they're about. It might not jive with you, or it might be a 100% yes, I'm following them like a cult leader kind of deal. So they're meant to always inform others of what they're doing and how passionate they are about what they're doing. They're meant to be observed from other people. So like role model status, influencer status in a way, but like heavyweights, like Oprah energy. I don't know.
So
If
it's like Oprah manifestor, or you don't know?
No, I don't know that. So I was like, don't quote me on
like
that.
Guessing, like that type of yeah.
But that type of influence that can easily be something. So they, like their manifesting generators, they can switch from things from time to time, but it's not as often. And when they do, what's so unique about them is that they have such a strong following in place, is that people don't mind when they do shift. So it could be you started out with a podcast, but then you started doing coaching, and then you started adding this, and then you're just kind of slow pivoting throughout time. But you have such a strong base of people who love and adore you. They're going to follow you no matter what, because they want to keep hearing what you're doing. Like what you're saying just resonates so hard. So for them, productivity wise, they just need to make sure that they tell their team what they're doing. For the sake of their team, they really need to not only just inform their audience and who their target audience clients are, they need to look backwards and be like, hey guys, I know I'm going 2,000 miles an hour. And I'm so sorry, but here's where we're going. I know we were here yesterday, but these are the things that happened.
Right turn.
Yes. And now we're here. So don't worry. I know what I'm doing. And I'm telling you guys now so you can successfully help back me up and support me. So that's manifestors. They do need a team. And same with manifesting generators. You want a good team that can be able to pivot and support you. But it's very crucial for them to inform and support their team in that way too. Because it's not as transparent. Like they could be off doing a live and they're like, when was that supposed to be a thing? Like, if they're like, oh, I just booked it this morning. Sorry. That kind of energy. So it's really good to have a team to support you in that. And then we have our generators, which is one of our big types. They are the life force energy. They need to have passion in what they do. Absolutely. Like they're doing something that doesn't spark a fire, probably gonna end up frustrated and burnt out because they're forcing themselves to do something that they don't want to do. So passion is the big word for generators. And when they are really latched onto something they love, that's it. Like that's what they're doing. It's like just this energy. I wish I could translate my hand motions into words.
Yeah.
So for everyone saying, you know what I'm talking about, but like for people, it's just that passion, it's that root, it's the heart behind everything that they do. So they have a really magnetic energy. So when they're in it, they're feeling it. They're like, yes, I love what I'm doing today, or I love what I'm working on. People are drawn to them because they're magnetizing. That energy is just so attractive to people. And they're like, I want to be around this person. They're doing big things. It's really exciting. And just the way they talk, it's addicting. It's great.
How are they different from manifestors?
They don't generally do 5 million things at once. It's usually, they can niche down. They don't have to necessarily, but they're not juggling multiple things at once. It's really important for generators because when they focus in on a passion, it's really important for them to actually take a minute, take a break for themselves, because they can easily burn themselves out by just going, like spending multiple hours on something and not getting out for air. So it would be almost bonkers for them to try to multitask, because then their energy is just going everywhere. And they're like, oh man, oh God. It's just,
no, they can't go like all in on that one thing that they're really working on.
Yeah, that's what they love. So it could be like switching projects throughout the day, like what we would normally do in a 9 to 5. It could be something like that. But for them to have multiple passions, like multiple, like one job and then a couple side hustles, is not, they can. Is it typical? Probably not. Depends.
Okay. Now we have projectors.
Oh, okay. So I hope everyone's familiar with online business managers, because this is literally OBM energy. So these are the people who make things more efficient. They see what doesn't work, they come up with the solution and they implement it, and it's so much better than it was before. These are the detail-oriented people. But what's really funny here is that they need support into seeing the bigger picture, so they can remember the bigger picture instead of like the minute details. But they're here as the architects of all of our ideas. Like we have big ideas that they're building it into place. That's what they do. But it's very important for them as well, like generators, to take time for themselves, because they're so busy building on ideas, doing projects, being there for other people, all these things, that they need time for themselves. And that's mega important, because they will 100% burn out if they don't take time to rest and get that energy back to go for another spurt building.
Yeah. Okay. So reflectors, our final one.
This is me, guys. So I might go off on a tangent here. So we, again, have all of our centers open. So we're constantly absorbing energy. So it's mega important to give us the time and the space that we need to get the work done. So our energy varies. So we can easily sit and focus for a while, and then maybe we have to go into a completely different part of the office or our house to kind of get inspired, realign ourselves. We also need a lot of rest. We need a lot of rest. That's why it's very interesting that I have no authority. My strategy is simply for a lunar calendar to be in place. So what's so great about that, and what I find so interesting, especially with women, is that our cycle calendars follow the moon calendar. So I tend to rest between, the weeks leading up to me having to take some time off and rest my body, versus when I'm done menstruating, of course. When I'm done, I have all this energy and I'm like, yes, let's go. Okay, we're working 8-hour days. That's what we're doing. But then normally I would work 4 to 5, and that feels really good. So for everyone, it's kind of hard to do a 9 to 5 because you're really trying to follow your energy flow. And for me, 9 to 5 was great until it absolutely wasn't, because I was burning myself out trying to squeeze out like 9 to 10 hours of work today. A day, not today. Hopefully not today. I mean, we'll see. But you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So reflectors need a lot of rest. They need to also be passionate about what they do too, because we can easily take on what someone else likes to do because we're around them 24/7, and we're like, oh yeah, that's what we like to do now. So maybe not. Let's get away from that. Let's get away from some energy. Let's decompress, have some alone time, sit with our crystals to like decompress from that energy and figure out what we want to do. So that's the fun thing about reflectors, that we can be chameleons, but we have to remember to get back to ourselves as ourselves.
Yeah, it's probably like, I'm imagining it's so draining just getting so much energy from other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I have a lot of client calls or I do readings. Do I do anything after them? Absolutely not. No, because I'm like, especially with a reading, because I go so in depth, I'm like, I am going to rest for the rest of the day. So I do readings on very specific days. I have client calls on very specific days. I do client work on very specific days that honor where my energy is going to be at and what I'm going to feel like afterwards. Because usually I'm like, I was on. And then literally in 30 minutes from now, I'm like, I need a nap.
So it's really working with yourself and not trying to like fight yourself into something that you like, you're naturally not able to, like, made to do, not able, but not made to do.
Designed to do. And I think that goes across the board, not just with reflectors, but with anybody. So if you're doing something, you're out of alignment as any type, you're just like, nope. This doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You just know it. It's that intuitive, and that's where your authority comes in, because that intuition kicks in. It's like, no, not good. Or like, yes, this feels great. Keep going.
Totally. Yeah. And do you have any advice on when you're either working or in a relationship with someone who probably has a different human design type than you?
Mm-hmm. This is interesting. This is fun. So this is where you might have to get some readers involved, but you can easily pull up their chart and see the differences between both. And a lot of it can be based on channels. So what's the connectors, the highways between the centers, and what their centers are, like where are they defined, where are they undefined? Because where someone is a defined throat, they are very good at verbalizing, right? They got that verbal energy. Or someone's undefined, it's not always as consistent. So they might be quiet on things that they know they shouldn't be quiet on. So that might create some friction when you guys are having a constructive argument, if you're in a relationship or on a team. So if you know that you have a defined throat, someone else doesn't, you're like, hey, I know you might be shy to share this, but will you let me know like something about this that I'm sharing with you? Like kind of just coaxing it out. That's where that stuff can get really, really valuable, because you'll know how to interact with the other person, see where they might be shy about some things, about how to interact, or where they might need time and space for themselves to think about some things, or if they're coming off a certain way by looking at their chart, you're like, you can kind of take a good guess as to what's going on. It's like, oh, I was telling them how to do something, and they're defined in this way, so they do not resonate with that. They did not want to hear me give advice because it was not invited, that kind of thing. So
now, how does defined look on the chart? Like defined or not defined?
Defined is going to be colored, and undefined is not going to be colored. So okay. That's usually how it is.
So if it's white,
if you saw your chart, if it's white, undefined, colored,
it's defined. And then that you defined will just, in basic language, basically mean that it's like you have an easier time with it. Basically,
you can easily pull from it. Absolutely. Yeah. Like it's like one of those tools in your toolbox that you can just easily access like this if you needed to. When it's undefined, it comes and goes. Like we can't just naturally rely on it. So for me, I don't have a defined throat, right? I don't have a defined anything. So I don't have a defined anything. So I purposely have to like hype. Well, it's different for everybody, but for me, I have to like hype myself up to do something that's like front facing, or I have to wait till it feels really good and aligned with my energy and my thoughts. I'm like, yep, we're going in. This is happening. So it all comes down to like even me scheduling this interview on like Mondays, admin days. I'm not doing anything crazy. I can have the energy to show up as my authentic self for something like this. So I forgot the original part of that question. I'm so sorry.
But you answered it already about the defined or the undefined. Yeah. So it's not that if you're undefined, you can't actually like use it, like, but will take a lot more energy and a lot more work for you to pull from that place.
Mm-hmm. And to recognize it. Yeah. Because it could be just covered in another energy, kind of like how I say, it's kind of blanketed. You're like, okay, I have to pull it back for a second. Okay. I can access it now. There's a lot more work that we have to do to access it.
Yeah. Now, how do like the authority types play into how productive people are?
It's your intuition. And for me, the bedrocks of productivity for me is following your energy. It's setting boundaries and getting clear on your priority. So your intuition will naturally tell you if you do listen to it. And this could be a gut. Let's say it's sacral, and it's a gut feeling because most people have sacral. It's a hell yes feeling, right? And if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no kind of thing. So practicing with what your authority is your intuition, right? So the more you listen to your intuition, the easier it becomes to guiding your energy into what you need to do for the day, right? It was like, what is actually a priority for today? Because each day it could be something different. Like, you have goals, you have things that you want to accomplish, but every day is going to be different. Yeah. And you want to get your energy in a flow where when you're working on something that you're really aligned with, that's going to turn out so much more quality than something you're forcing yourself to work on. Your intuition's like, no, stop forcing it.
It's just not going to work.
Yeah. And if that happens consistently on the same task, that's a clear red flag. It's like, why am I even doing this task? Am I even supposed to be doing this task? How
probably
does
won't be. I'll be so lazy on doing it.
So it's like, how is anything benefiting from me not doing this task? And like, what is it actually contributing to? So it helps you get really clear on what the priority is. So then you can set boundaries to protect your energy into the things that you want to do and flow that into.
Totally. Yeah. So it's really about like, obviously first you have to pull up your chart, but then you want to really understand as much as you could till you could get a reader. Go get a reading because it will make a massive difference for yourself, but understanding about how you work and how you were designed and working along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, there's a lot of great information out there that you can Google, but obviously take what resonates with you, because obviously everyone has their own perspective on human design. I have my own, a lot of people have theirs, and it's all wonderful. We all are the root at the same, but just with any Google searching, you know what to do.
Yeah, everyone puts on their own twist on it. Yeah. Okay. So where can we connect with you and learn more about you? I mean, begin a reading with you.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website, remotelybalanced.com, which will be linked in show notes. And you can also follow me at remotely Kristen, remotely Kristen, on Instagram, where I talk about all things human design and other fun spiritual stuff and how I help clients align their human design into their lifestyle.
Awesome. Okay. Final question, one that I ask everyone is, how would you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, trust, or connection?
Kindness. That was the first word that came to mind. Kindness.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christine. This was fun, really informative, and just the beginning of a whole lot more that I hope you go and do research on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me and letting me share.
That's all for this episode of the Life Picks University podcast, but I have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support the show, but will also help the people you love most. We are striving for 1 million downloads by the end of 2025, and we can't do this without your help. If you love this episode, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can rewire their brains to have an extraordinary marriage. It was awesome spending time with you, and I'll see you on the next episode.